In this section, we're going to take a look at how to deal with some typical page content and learn a few more HTML tags. I'll get things started by opening up the sample-content HTML file here in my text editor. Here we can see that our page does start out with the same tags we learned in the last section. We've got our doc type tag at the top. Our HTML tag surrounds all of the content. We've got a head tag, and it's setting up our character set and our title. And then, of course, we've got the body tag, which contains the content that we're going to work on. Now, first, let's take a look at how this page looks in the browser. I'll just double-click to open it up in Chrome. And the first thing that you'll notice is all the text on the page is crowded into one big block. The title tab up at the top is correct, but we're going to need to add some more tags to the text so that this content will be formatted with breaks and it's readable. So let's go back over to our text editor and we'll add a few things. Now back here in the document, our content is a lot more readable because it's broken up with some spacings that show us clearly where the header is and where the body paragraphs are. First, let's work on the heading. To make it stand out clearly and act like a heading, we need to add in a heading tag. Now in HTML, we have several to choose from so that we can clearly distinguish a main heading from a subheading. So the first one we'll use is the H1 tag. I'll go right up to the beginning of the heading and we'll add in our tag. And of course, we'll need to close that tag as well, so I'll put that on the other side of the heading. Remember, it's the same as the original starting tag, but it has a slash in front of it. Next, I'll save my document, and we'll go back over to the browser and see what this small change does for our page. Again, I'm using Ctrl-S to save it, and when we get to our browser page, we'll just refresh so we can see the new code. Now we can clearly see the heading pulled out from the rest of the text. With the default H1 style, it's a larger size, and it's bolded, so it looks much more like a heading now. I mentioned that there are several other H tags that we can use here, so we can account for subheadings too. To try them out, I'll go back to my editor, and I'll just copy the H1 line that we created before. We have 6 H tags in total, so I'll just paste it in 5 more times. And I'll go to the first copied set of tags, and I'll change the H1 to an H2. We want to do it in both the starting and ending tags. And for the rest, I'll just change the numbers again until we have H6 for the last one. Now let's just save our changes and go back over to the browser and refresh the page. Now we can see that each successive heading that we've used is a little smaller than the last. All of them are bolded, and we include a break between it and the next element. So now we can use these heading tags as needed to cover any subheadings and sub-subheadings we need. Now we obviously still need to create some breaks for the rest of the content here, so let's go back to the text editor. And this time, we want to make each one of these text blocks act like a simple paragraph. So for that, we'll use the P tag. I'll place a P tag right in front of this block of text, and we'll need one with each block of text we want to use. So I'll just copy it and paste it in front of the others. Of course, we need to close all of these, so I'll go to the end of the first block, and we'll add in a close paragraph tag, and I'll copy that and paste it to the rest as well. Now, of course, we always need to save our changes to see them in the browser, so I'll save the document again. We'll go back over to our browser and just refresh the page. And now you can see we've got 4 separate readable paragraphs. All of our paragraphs have a break in between them, so the page is much more readable. The font size is the same as it was before, so we can see that the default paragraph style uses the default text size and weight when it's displayed in the browser. Now there are times when you'll need to have something that acts like a simple line break and does not add the space between paragraphs that we see here. So for that, we'll use the line break tag. I'll go back over to the document, and we'll insert one here in the first paragraph, right after the first sentence ends. The name of the line break tag is BR, short for break, and it's another example of a void tag or a single instruction. So I'll mark it as a self-closing tag by adding a slash at the end. Let's just save that change and go back over to our browser once again. When I refresh, you can see that that sentence starts on a new line, but we don't have the space that we have associated with the paragraph tags that we used earlier. Now let's go back to our document and try one more thing. I'll go back to the BR tag that we inserted, I'll copy it, and I'll just paste the second one right after it. So we'll actually have 2 line breaks this time. When I save the page and refresh over here in the browser, you can see now it looks very similar to what we see with the paragraph tags. Now it is a bit cleaner coding to mark each paragraph separately, but the BR tag also works the same as we see here. So it shows us that sometimes there are several different ways to mark up the content and still have the same result for the viewer. Now so far we've marked up our blocks of text mainly for separation and readability, but often we need to add some emphasis to our content without changing the spacing. For instance, we might bold a word or phrase to make it pop out if it's something important. To bold text, we use the strong tag, and we simply start the tag where we want the bolding to start. So let me go back over to our document and I'll add it into this sentence. I want the next 3 words to be bolded. So I'll place my cursor after the end of the 3rd word and we'll add in the close strong tag as well. Another way to make a word or phrase stick out is to use italics, and for that we use the M tag, short for emphasis. So I'll just pick out a few other words. Again, I'll place the beginning M tag in front of the words that I want italicized, and I'll put the closing tag at the end of the word string. Now let's save both of those changes and see how they look. I'll refresh my browser again, and we can see the bolding occurs on the 3 words we selected, and we're seeing italics on the end of this whole sentence. Now these last 2 tags we've seen are good examples of some of the changes we have with HTML5. In the older standards for HTML, it was common to use the B and the I tags instead of strong and M. Let's go back to our text editor, and I'll just replace the strong tag with a B for bold. Again, updating the close strong tag as well. And we'll use I here instead of the M tag. If we save this, and we go out and refresh our browser, it looks exactly the same as it did before. So here's another example of different ways to code the same content. The real difference between the 2 sets of tags is the way that the browser understands your content. Today, when we develop for the web, we know there are lots of different kinds of devices that are going to be used to browse it. We have phones and tablets, of course, but we also have screen readers and other ways to view it. We also know that search engines need to browse the content as well so that they can catalog what our page is about and make sure that it appears in the search results when viewers are looking for it. HTML5 was created to make all these things easier by using the tag not just to set the style of the text and other content, but also to set the meaning of it as well. In this example, we use the strong tag to indicate that the words are more important than the surrounding text, whereas the B tag is simply just setting the way it looks.